Hello, everyone. It is Ken here, Basketball Rewind. I'm joined by Coach Roach beyond the locker room. Once again, we're here. This time, we're talking about draft talk. I'm going to stack some of these up because I'm going to have exams soon, so you're going to be able to see more and more of draft talk while I have exams, as if we filmed it the day of, right? So, through the magic of editing, let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about Nate Ament from Tennessee. Of course, you know, you would think if Mouth of the North was with us, this would be his favorite team because Dalton Connect, you know, of course. But this man does not play at all like Dalton. So I believe he is 6'10". I'm not sure what his wingspan is. I'm going to try to maintain wingspan measurements closer when we do a whole recap when the combine comes out. He wears the number 10, you know, of course, out there. So here's a little bit about his stats: 17 points, 6.5 rebounds on the season, 2.4 assists. He's shooting 40% from the field, 30, just a tad under 33, and he shoots decently from the free throw line at 70, just under 79%, so almost 80%. Here's the good and the bad of what I noticed about him. If you're just looking at just a 2-point shot, it's a little bit low, yes. But he gets to the line a lot and he's aggressive with it. He has a positive, barely a positive, but a positive assist turnover ratio. And it's weird because, you know, I'm so used to watching these guards create for themselves at a high level, and then you watch him, and it's just different because you have to readjust and calibrate for what you're looking for. I believe he's injured right now going into the tournament. So if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was, minorly injured. But the point with him is I have a comp already. And the comp is interesting. And I talked to Coach about it. And I said he's some sort of variation of like Zachary Risacher.
We had the same comp almost.
I mean, you could argue about the ceiling, but it's one of those things where I'm like, you know, the American version of it or whatever. I don't know. I don't mean it in a bad way. I think he could do a lot of different things. I think we could use him. I think to really get the most out of him, you need to wait. There's a little bit of mid range game, and we'll get into that, but he's not like popping off the screen like some of the other prospects that we've looked at so far. So, you know, beyond I'll actually go to you just because I know a little bit of coach's thoughts.
Well, it's funny. I was literally talking to my dad. I was at his place today. We were watching the game, and he talked about the prospects and how deep this draft might be. It's interesting how he thought about the draft because he's talking about usually you have about 4 to 5 guys who are like no brainers. I said you might have about 7 or 8, and he was like there sitting there going like, yeah. But then he brought up this man. I didn't bring him up. He brought the man we're talking about here. He goes, you see this man in this case here? You see people talk about him and he's a top 10 pick. I don't see it. He goes, I'm like, oh shoot. I said, well, guess who I'm talking about today? Funny you mentioned that. He is arguably the most polarizing player in this draft. I've seen some people have him in the late teens. I've seen some folks have him up as much as 8 or 9. I've seen some folks have him in the middle, kind of like the Goldilocks theory, where it's like the porridge is just right. Maybe he's in the middle. He's been all over the map. And it's a lot to do with how his season started. He started off rough. It started off rough. It started off rough. But when he got into SEC territory, he started playing a bit better. The numbers started coming around. The point that you made, Kenyon, that he started to get the line more. It gave hope in this case of what people saw in high school. Like, okay, ooh. Now I think one of the things we have to realize too is to be fair to the young man, I'm not sure what his position is right now in the NBA. And that's going to be one of the things that's going to be very interesting to see what type of team picks him up. Because right now he's essentially playing like a 2 guard, a 2-3. That's what he's playing. Now, in the NBA, based on a little weight program, the NBA weight program, he probably should be a 3 or a 4. Probably a 3. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be Kevin Durant or nothing like that. I'm just saying that from a standpoint of just height and size, we've seen guys of that height play as a small forward. My problem with him is that even though he has the ability to be potentially a 3-level scorer, he doesn't finish well enough around the hoop, even though he gets the line a lot. But a lot and one's left on the bone in this case when his chance is there. That tells me also, too, sometimes where he doesn't seem to have enough craft and enough guile in his game. We've talked about some guys that have that already on draft talk. He is not one of them. where it's like sometimes he gets trapped underneath the hoop or trapped in the paint, and he's not really sure what to do, and he's doing like he's working that pivot over like voom, 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 and he's not sure where to go with it. That's some problems there. Also, too, his handle's decent enough, but not great enough to get separation. Now, when you're 6'10", you don't need a lot of separation. So I'm being consistent because they giving that to my man last year, Ace. And as my man dropping 30 now on folks, you don't need that much separation, folks. But the problem with him is, unlike Ace, Ace had that shot making ability where it's like mind blowing, popping off the screen.
Yeah,
that is not the case with this young man.
His rebounding's pretty good. His offensive, like he does some of the little things offensively where I'm like, okay, he could be a very interesting, and he's aggressive. I don't think that it's like he's not aggressive or anything like that.
No, I
But
don't think he's going to have motor
yeah,
issues. I think it's just limitations. I think he's a guy that I think because of his size and he can't put the ball on the ground, people are going to have certain expectations of him that he might not be able to deliver. And I think he's the type of guy that might frustrate a lot of individuals. So when you say Risacher, I kind of chuckle, even though I think Risacher has a little more pop. I think he's a little more athletic to him. When I say Risacher versus him, I think Risacher is a little bit more smoother in this case when it comes to mobility and stuff than him. He's not bad, but I think he has a little bit more awkwardness at times versus Risacher, who has a little more smoothness to his game. Even though he has a mid-range, Risacher started developing that late. Like at least he has that.
Is he a high floor, high ceiling pick? Like is he
I
high
think
risk,
so.
high
Like,
reward kind of a thing?
yeah, like
I think it's that.
I agree with my dad in this sense. Like if you were picking him in the top 10, I would be a little concerned. I ain't gonna lie. But
Say he's at 15 or something like that.
yeah, it's like, you know what? What the heck? Let's
Or
put the chips
17.
in. Yeah. I think he's one of those type of guys where it's like, where it's like, okay, if the chips are in, let's make something of it. And it will take the expectations off him, which might actually help his game more. But if he's like number 8 pick with how he is right now, that could be dicey. But there's talent there with him, but he is a very polarizing thing. Our friends from No Ceilings, our man Tyler, I can't wait to talk to him about him.
Yes.
Because he just threw a stray. God bless you, Tyler. He just threw a stray out there. Because I mentioned when I say we're talking about Sadat Jr., and you mentioned him, and he said, "Yo, he threw him in there and threw a stray." It's like I ain't sure about him either. It's like, oh, snap.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
But that was early in the season. To be fair, I'm curious to see what he thinks about him now. A couple months removed from there, because as I said before, at the beginning of the season, it was rough.
He wouldn't be a bad pick for the Raptors. However, unlike other types of picks that we would be picking, hopefully in our range, he's the type of guy that you have to be a bit patient.
Yes. I know that's what I'm saying.
Right? It's like almost like the Noah type idea, where it's like, okay,
right.
Year one's gonna look a little rough.
If he got picked by the Spurs fan base knows how the program's done. They'll be like, okay, fine. Right? There's certain teams that know that Miami to some extent would be the same way. If he got picked by this franchise with this fan base,
yeah,
I ain't really sure about that.
It's like you guys got to be careful. Wait till year 2, because sometimes you see guys just really pop in their second year, and you're like, whoa, right?
I remember
you really need to be patient.
And we had a guy in this case with a similar type of build. And I remember Raptor fans were going there, and my dad and I saying the same
T-Mac?
thing. But you better believe it, T-Mac to the rack. And I remember first season, Raptor fans were killing this kid, and I'm sitting there going, like, dude, that dude's the most talented dude that we might see in a Raptors uniform.
Now, folks, keep in mind he's not saying that he's like T-Mac, so you know, but just in terms of like the height and stuff like that.
That type of position. Yeah. And when they're as raw, he's not even as raw as Tracy was. Tracy was much more raw.
Yeah, coming out of high school.
For him and Tracy was, you all saw the glimpses of the vision and not even the shot making, just the vision from a point guard standpoint. Because people thought Tracy would be a point guard, like a Magic Johnson. People had him in that role. I don't think people thought Tracy McGrady would be like a 30-point per game scorer when he first came into the league. They saw him like more Magic Johnson run the point type of thing. I think even Isaiah saw him like that. So no one even saw him being that explosive a scorer. But there's parts even in the rookie season. But the part is that when you're in this fan base and this market, we saw what happened with Tracy. It was like, hey man, we're out the door by year 3. So I mean, just saying, folks, just be patient with a guy like this, because who knows what he might turn into.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like we need a guard so bad that it's like like for the Raptors, I don't know, but it also depends on where, because we could use some wing talent, some backup wing. We really do, because it's like you need, say you keep Scotty, say you keep Brandon Ingram. You have CMB. Okay. You need someone else to like help. Basically, you need like a 2-2, right? So you can kind of mix and match your guys out there if that's the way that they want to play it.
But yeah,
And so yeah,
but this kid here actually has enough ability to kind of get his shot off as well. So it's not like
he
he's like,
does. He has a little bit of a nifty turnaround.
yeah,
The handle needs to get better, but you could tell it's almost like I don't know when he had a growth spurt last, but he's almost like he's still kind of getting used to his body a little bit.
yeah, there is a little of that. That's why I said the awkwardness. I think that's
Yeah,
why
it's
I'm
like a
seeing
puppy
it.
with big paws.
Yes. Like
Yeah.
there's a little of that going on. But like to your point, I'd be on this team, man. He'll be the second coming. Look at the second coming of Tracy McGrady if he actually does that on this team. Because we don't have anyone can even do that right now, pretty much besides Brandon Ingram.
Uh, Coach, your thoughts, and also what do you guys think
I,
of his defense too?
so I know that he was a top five ESPN 100 high school recruit. I think he was fourth.
Yeah, 5-star recruit.
So, and highly recruited whenever that type of thing happens, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I look at him and I've watched this game. I said this to you earlier. You know how some guys on 2K, they get the green arrow that points at, oh, they're trending up, and then there's the red arrow, they're trending down. He's right
Yes.
in the middle for everything. Like there's nothing elite, but there's nothing, I don't see any major weaknesses about him either. I just think he's kind of decent at everything. The shot is decent. His passing is decent. His rebounding is decent. He is just decent all around right now. But there's other things that add to his intrigue. One is the size. He is 6'10", or he looks 6'10". That's what he's listed anyway. And the body type looks like he can fill out too. So I don't think he's good to be like kind of. I think he's listed at 205 pounds or 210. I don't think he's going to be that for very long. You get him on the weight program, uh, that turns into about 220, 225 within a year.
Mhm.
So I think there's certainly room physically that he could really help a team. In terms of what Beyond said, if he falls to 20 and he's there, Bobby won't pick him because they don't pick guys like that. They pick probably guys maybe with better, a little bit of a higher floor. They like to. I don't know about the ceiling per se. I would take him at 20 if he's there, or 18 if he's there. Take the upside. I think there's a bit of it is a bit of a risk reward, but like Beyond just said, you could be patient with him. You got one more year left of Ingram on the team. Let him develop off the bench, give him time, and if he looks ready by the end of next year, if we were to draft him, you got someone waiting in the wings who is 6'10".
You know what, Coach? I'm going to bring up a guy from last year's draft that we both liked a lot. That I think in the situation kind of reminds me a little bit of this, even though I think he has a little more pop to his game offensively. Is Will Riley, right? Who
Yeah,
was right, which is the same height, gangly type of thing. You know, he can get his own shot, can put it on the ground and stuff like that. But I think Riley has a little more shot making in him, where it's like, oh, it's like I watched games last year where it's like Riley going off for 25. It's like, oh, okay, we got something here. And I think he's had this season's been quiet, but I think he had a couple of games where I remember he came up and all of a sudden it's like, oh, Will Riley had a little moment or something.
well, what I also look at too, you guys might remember, I look at prospects. I look at how do you play against top tier teams. So
Mm-hmm.
against Alabama back in January, 29 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 7 of 9 from the free throw line, and 2 of 4 from three. Kentucky, he played Kentucky about a month ago, 29 points, 8 rebounds, 10 of 17 from the field. And then he played another game. It was against Texas A&M, who I'm watching right now in the NCAA tournament. 23 points, 7 rebounds, 9 of 11 from the free throw line. The guy gets to the free throw line, and there's been some teams this year he's played really well against. And that's what I look at a prospect and say, how do you do against the good teams? Because I've coached guys like this before. When the talent goes up from other teams, which of your talents is going to rise to the occasion? And I've seen that before too.
Quote
And I
Jack
think he
Armstrong.
looks like he's rising to the occasion against some of the good teams, but it's almost like he needs another year of college because he'd be a top five pick next year in the 2027 draft. That's weak. He might go top five.
As Jack Armstrong would say, man, he's like, does he have stage presence? And that's the question. Which
Yeah,
I
he
think,
won't go. this year.
Yeah, but he's the type of guy where it's like, where the dance can make guys a lot of money, right? Like if Tennessee has a deep run and he's playing like this, he would move. He will move.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
if he would go top 10 or 12,
Yeah.
1,000% if
Yeah.
they made a run.
Because the Tylers I was listening to Tylers yesterday or today, and they made an interesting point talking about him. He's the type of guy who would benefit based on the talent that's around him. What I mean by that is, I think it was the other Tyler, not our Tyler we deal with, the other one that he has the podcast with. He made a great point. He says if you get past the first four guys that we all know are going to go in the top four, probably the next set that we all talk about, including my dad was saying so, are all guards. They're all guards.
Yeah.
So you gotta think that there's no way that coming up the draft, doesn't matter what order the draft is, that all these guys or all these teams don't want to guard. They're not going to want to guard. So there's a taking sitting there saying, "Hey guys, I'm here for the taking." Right? If you present yourself that way, you'll be right there.
Well, it's like Chicago is a good example. Chicago just traded for Jaden Ivey and just traded away a guard just to make room for Jaden Ivey. And they also have Rob Dillingham, if I'm not mistaken. They have Josh Giddey. I'm probably forgetting someone. They just traded away Io as well, and I think that there's another guard on Chicago.
I was playing Minnesota well for them too.
Yes. I mean, he was good, but it wasn't the right pickup for us. I know a lot of people were like, yeah, and I'm like, the money doesn't work and it's not as easy. But Chicago, I don't see them wanting a guard per se, right? Sacramento probably. Utah, I don't know what they want other than AJ DeBanza. That's about it.
That's why I think they might trade that pick.
And then Dallas, it'll depend on what's going on behind closed doors. I would still get a guard for the long term. That's just me, but there are some teams in there like Charlotte. I don't think that Charlotte is going to get a guard.
No, they're going to get a front court player.
Yes.
Dallas wants a guard.
Because I think Charlotte's mad at two things. I think eventually Miles Bridges is leaving Charlotte.
Yes.
And I think the second thing is as Grant Williams comes off the books, who hasn't played yet.
Great.
Yeah, I saw him at a Pokemon convention or something like that, opening up Pokemon cards. So that's where we're at with Grant Williams. He's coming off the books soon.
Grant Williams. Oh, yeah, I forgot he's on there. Yes.
Yes.
But I think the no ceilings guys, though, they had a good comparison for this. They said Nate is not Salon for Charlotte. Like, he's further ahead, but think a little bit like him.
Well, that's what I was going to say is that to bring up Charlotte and Salon, who traded Salon away, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
No, still there.
Oh,
he's still there.
Okay. So I think that by now they knew he was raw, but they're still hoping for a little bit more, and having a backup option for that, if that doesn't pan out, is kind of what they're looking at. And so to your point, like Nate could fit well there. They've come a long way from James Bouknight.
One UConn guy didn't come through, man. They tell you, man. Know you can't come out for UConn and be a productive player, man. Because usually UConn is that's like death and taxes, man. You can't.
Yes. I will say one guy who is not going to really work out. One other team that is not going to draft a guard is probably going to be the Clippers, and maybe Golden State as well, if you think about it. Because Golden State is, if they're holding on to Steph and they have Podzinski and all that, why would they draft a guard?
Oh, I can see them drafting a guard.
They should draft a guard.
Yeah, they need to upscale talent in a hurry.
Yes, because they need to look beyond Podzinski and stuff like that.
Podzinski ain't it, right? It's all said and done.
I know everyone gets hyper focused on these like kind of role type players, and like Podzinski is a very high end role player. Or I saw someone put out their list. They're like, "Oh, I want Moses Moody on the Raptors, so that's going to make a big difference." It's like, no, Moses Moody is Scotty's friend. He ain't making a big difference though.
No. They need a high end player because stepping in play forever.
No, yeah, they could use a Christian Anderson, but I hope not.
You could actually. Oh, jeez.
So yeah, the rich get richer all the time, don't they? So, and also, I keep forgetting this, but because of Portland's pick with the Bulls actually might have 2 picks as well.
True.
I don't know if they're going to use both picks.
Oh, it's Portland's. Yeah.
Yep. So I have a trade idea, but I'll pitch it to you guys after. But I think that we've picked this, picking stuff off the bone. I think there's not a lot of morsels left. So with that being said, any final thoughts on Nate Ament?
Well, we didn't go into defense too much, but I think
Oh right,
overall,
yes, I did ask about defense.
yeah, the defense, like it's solid. I think it goes back to coach's point. Like I don't think there's anything that jumps out at you. I think you could probably get more out of that body in some ways. It could, he could be a real terror. But I think he's one of those guys. I think he's one of those guys that would be a tease. That's why he has that look. He has the physicality. You think, oh my gosh, when you just get him right, he's gonna be something else. But it never comes to fruition, and he will drive some fan bases absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
That type of guy.
100%. It's the mentality too. I think like I don't know if there's anything about him that he's gonna like get in your face, and he's
No,
motivates himself, that kind of thing. I haven't seen. Maybe
he
it's
does challenge
unfair for me to
himself
say.
offensively. I don't know about defensively, but he challenges
I just
himself
think
a little bit.
the lack of an elite skill will keep him out of the top 10 conversation. That's why I think he's going to fall to 20, somewhere between 10 and 20. I think that's his range, because some team like Beyond said we'll take a chance on him and just say, you know what, maybe we get a second pick in the first round. A team like Memphis, for example, they might say, you know what, let's give it a try with him. They might grab Darius a cuff, and then like, we'll try him right now too as well. And they try to get more talent. Oh, by the way, if they get Darius a cuff and Cedric Howard on their team, man,
Don't worry, Coach, man. You'll get to watch them 2 more times in this case here if they get the Eastern Conference. So there you go.
Potentially, if it's not the
I
Team
might
Wolves.
become a Memphis fan pretty quick, man. They get a cuff, put it that way.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think that's all though for the most part. So like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned, and stay locked in. And take care, people. Peace.